and welcome back to another wonderful day of VALORANT Challengers North America for Stage 2. It's week 1, but day number 2, and day 1, honestly, delivered on all aspects. Now to see if we can keep that going on to day 2 of competition, and I cannot wait to get started. My name is Sierra, and kicking it off on the desk, and I guess the cast for the day, because, you know, we love Valorant over here. We got to make sure they get as much Valorant as we can. We have Gomps, and we have Vansili. Gomps, welcome in. How are you doing?
I am so excited. I'm actually pretty happy that, Split 2 came out, and now I get to sit at my desk and watch Valorant. This is exactly the reason why I have been waiting for, so that I can tell my family that I'm not hanging out with them today.
Ooh, okay. There's a lot to unpack there on that one. Day number 2, you were here for day 1. Honestly, we're already delivering in the hype aspect so far.
Definitely, and I'm hoping that the hype continues on today, and hopefully in 2-0 so I can go see my family.
Oh, all right. We're going to have, it's like the two devils on your shoulder, like the wholesome and the not so wholesome. Anyways, I mean, we'll have to see what we get out of today's thing of Valor. And you're saying looking for 2-0s, but not always delivered here, as things have definitely been a roller coaster, to say it the best. Yesterday, we did get one of those, kicking it off, Oxygen versus M80, with Oxygen proving to be the Mid-Season Cup winners for a reason. The next series on the day, definitely one that went the distance, though, Vans.
Yeah, the second game for Winthrop University, again, the latest addition that they had to that roster being Silence, and of course, Screwface joined during the MSC. They definitely show that they've made some great strides, small comp changes, adaptations, and just look very good overall. So again, they're showing that a collegiate team, potentially just like Blinn Esports at this point, could really be a true contender now in the challenger scene going into playoffs.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see with all of these teams going on forward, who's going to be standing up, who's going to be staying out, and who to really keep an eye on. And that's going to be a big thing going into our first series of the day, YFP going up against SAD Esports, considering how stage 1 looked for our two teams. But we are going to get a little bit of a different look at them this time around. So first, want to be pulling up this tweet coming up from YFP. So Gomps, this one wasn't necessarily surprised. This tweet's been out for a little bit, but of course we still get to see Bones and Jonah still competing in Challengers, just under a different banner.
Yeah, for these two players to kind of be taken out, it doesn't necessarily surprise me. I know some people were pretty upset with the takeaway, with Bones, coming out of the roster and thinking that Bones was one of those people that did carry the roster. But I think this change is necessary. YFP not performing to the best of their ability. They were always just scraping by. And now we have the newest additions coming in, which is Will and Jake. Jake, previously on the C9 team, Will now coming in to play instead of the duelist role that they initially played before, now going into an initiator role, just really allowing this team to take the double initiator composition that they've been really trying to push for on YFP, which I absolutely love. In my opinion, bringing that through and allowing this team to fully flourish, keeping Penny on that duelist and saying, hey, you're a great duelist. You just need the perfect team to do so. And honestly, they're cooking, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, definitely. If you're looking at Bones and Jonah, that was unfortunately let go here of YFP, they went on to join Fluffy Aimers, which we got to cast yesterday, and they're looking pretty decent overall, although unfortunately a loss to Winthrop. But this roster you currently see in front of your eyes, I think this is still good firepower that they added into YFP, especially now that you have Will stepping away here from like the real main duelist role. He could just frag out, vibe out, support here a little bit more around the team. As Jake, of course, coming in from Cloud9, there was during the midseason just before that, he was saying he was going to retire, now came back and then joined YFP, and he's still really he hasn't changed in terms of like his skill set. He still provides a lot for our team, still frags out, and I think this is the perfect situation for him to bounce back and get a revenge arc to hopefully see him back in the partnership league. So I think overall, in terms of firepower, it looks really good for this YFP team. It'll just depend what happens now that they have like 2 or 3 weeks of working together and working out the kinks. We'll see if there's going to be more structure now as a whole with this roster.
I mean, the first look back at the Mid-Season Cup, rolling some tape here, seeing a little bit of their matchup against SM, we did already get a little bit of a look coming on out from the team and getting this 2-1 record, which is really nice. Already, Gomps, a change from how the rest of the stage was going for them.
They got one! A map! Oh my gosh! I think this is magnificent. And the game against TSM, like, listen. Listen, the game against TSM, was it a sweep? Absolutely not, right? Obviously, they had their troubles, they had their struggles, but like they're just getting started. Like this roster just got put together. There's so many different things that can come online. And the fact that they managed to get one with a brand new roster after literally losing every single series except for maybe one in the first week, that's like, I'm putting my money in there. Like, I'm gonna get my return on investment. I think this is going so well so far. And honestly, for YFP, it's just the beginning.
Yeah, and for them to get a map versus TSM during the mid-season cup, like I said, I feel like TSM once again is like a dark horse rather, going into stage number 2. And for them to pull out a map with the new roster, right? They had the addition of Will and Jakey coming into this. I felt in this series overall, it's just them trying to like vibe out and try to get the feel of each other now that they're composed into a new roster, right? So you're seeing Will move around a little bit more on this map of Bind, just fragging out, holding W, getting some heroic plays like these type of plays that you currently see, the 3K on Bind, and then also seeing Jakey able to farm out the way that he can. Like I said, now that you're able to still see that in different roles, for example with Will, they still have great firepower for this team now, and replacing Bones and Jonah and adding these two in might be the solution that you need. A breath of fresh air, a 1-for-1 trade-off in terms of skill set, and then hopefully now with the structure they could add a little bit more to that one map only that they got against TSM, and on top of that, hopefully more victories overall in stage 2, and not just that one victory that they got against Thinking Man in week 1.
Especially too, when I think back to YFP and what they're able to do as a team, I was kind of surprised going back and looking back at the stage 1 results, like, oh yeah, I guess they weren't actually really winning too often. Yeah, there kind of was some O2s going off against them. I think that this team definitely has a little bit more potential than what we've gotten to see stat line, so I'm excited to see what they can show for us today. But of course now, we got to talk about SAD Esports. So going into this, Gomps, to kick it off, they're posting on Twitter that there was a little bit of an announcement coming on out from the team. When you see this right before you're going live, all right, let's speculate. What could it be?
All right, this is my assumption. And you guys are going to think I'm crazy for this. Ready? You know, they always keep their following count to 69. I think they're changing the game. They're getting rid of that. They're going 70. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe.
That's the biggest announcement? That's how they're going to actually win stage 2?
That's pretty groundbreaking.
I could go with that. Or maybe SAD Esports could rename to Happy Esports because Ye is going to be joining out from the Pacific lead, right? Because Ye, of course, took a step down. No, I'm just kidding. It's
Wait, I have it.
It's probably not going to happen.
You have it?
I actually think I have it. Wait, really quick. Baby Bay is going into the team of SAD Esports.
Flying back from Shanghai right now, dude. He just decided to ditch Esports Doug. There's only 3 casters right now in Masters Shanghai, and then Baby Bay's coming to play tonight. Or he's just playing on a VPN with like 300 ping. I don't know.
All right, I'm sure there's nobody taking y'all seriously, but just in case, let's throw the real announcement that they had coming on out. There's a couple of things that we could discuss when it was SAD Esports and what it could be, but something that you won't necessarily get to see on the roster. We're bringing Coach Joe to the head coach of the squad. Yeah,
I'm super stoked for this one, too. I think I had a chance to, we actually had a chance, all 3 of us, to hang out and meet Coach Joe during the Complexity Cozy Clash during the offseason. And he was the one that actually took the helm to have his experience to coach during the offseason with the Complexity Game Changer squad. And I think that he actually provides a lot of value for this team. And then now that, unfortunately, Complexity's maybe taking a small halt during the game changer scene, it still gives an opportunity for the last coaches to try to figure out some opportunities with other teams. So now that Coach Joe has proven himself and has a chance here with YFP, he now has again an opportunity to create that structure that YFP needed on top of the firepower that they added onto the MSC or during the MSC. So hopefully, for SAD Esports rather. So hopefully this is still going to work out.
I was like, why if he can't have everything going their way?
That's true. We are hoping for 2 zeros.
Over to SAD Esports. That's not the only change, though. Pulling up the SAD Esports roster as well. Unfortunately, there's so many tweets that we can fly on a broadcast, so we didn't quite get to touch on the fact that we are seeing roster changes coming out here, Gomes. Alvin and Dip stepping in.
Yeah, and it's a big change in my opinion. You pretty much get rid of two major parts of your team on SAT Esports. You're looking to make a change. Again, roster changes happen for a reason. I don't mind it. I think Dip is probably one of the best collegiate players that I've seen that can really hold their own in the initiator role. And I think Dip is going to do so well just playing into SAT Esports, especially like, I mean, I believe they played for Northwood, so they were like the champions of like, yeah, the world, I guess you could say, in the collegiate space. So they're pretty well aware of what it's like to be victorious.
Yeah, to add on to that, Dip also is an was an IGL for Northwood, and with that team has an opportunity to reunite with Darkest during that time in like 2022, if I'm not mistaken, where they actually even won the Red Bull Campus Clutch over in Brazil. So that means that, you know, you're bringing an IGL that has a lot of experience, that has you know, LAN experience on top of that, world experience to play against top teams from the collegiate scene from around the world or the university scene from around the world, and still come out on top. And I think it's a nice little change to add Dip as an IGL, add an initiator to replace two heads going through, right? Because unfortunately we lose Bob, who's a great player, but maybe just didn't fit into the structure here for SAT Esports. So this gives an opportunity now for Dip to, you know, fill in two pairs of shoes. Now one is an initiator role, and a second one being IGL, probably replacing Zolstol in the past too. So now you're bringing in Alvin, on the other hand, that's a little bit more unknown. But Alvin at this point, if I'm not mistaken here, had a lot of experience grinding just like tier 3 tournaments, like the Mr. Fun Haver League in tournaments, and he was playing mostly duelist roles. So we'll have to now see if that's going to clash a little bit in terms of roles between him and Skarn, where, you know, both of them are going to be awesome duelists, or maybe you're going to have one of them just be a controller fragger, just like a 10, for example.
Especially too for SAT Esports, this is another tale of a team that, looking back on their stage 1 scores, I kind of expected better scores all around for how they're able to play out there. So I'm curious then, with the changes, how things are going to be meshing out the gate, because right away, this isn't a team that we got to see in the mid-season cup play with these new players, playing under the banner of Coach Joe here. And this is a team already then that we don't really know how this change is going to go. We know this core group of Skarn, Doctors, and Covert here bands, but beyond that, this is a mystery.
Yeah, and I think it brings back to the same point that I was trying to bring, even though I mixed up Coach Joe going to YP, but also going to SAT Esports instead. It was also two types of teams, being YP and both SADs, that were kind of like thinking outside of the box in terms of composition that they're trying to bring out. I mean, if you remember SAD, they were the ones that brought out like the Deadlock onto Icebox, and we're like excited to see how things are going to pan out here with a Deadlock on that map, trying to figure out how EG and take a little bit of the pagebook from EG and try to develop that. But now that you have the experience of a coach on top of that to add to it, maybe he's going to be able to min-max that type of strategy and that type of approach, or just to make sure that now you have something a little bit more standard with, you know, a proven IGL, a proven initiator, a proven duelist, and now with the coach to just add a more regular structure and compositional style and approaches to these maps.
And it'll be intriguing then when we get into our maps and the picks and bans for today, exactly how this is going to be playing out. Because what we've gotten to see on paper with the past of these teams won't exactly hold true for how it's going to be kicking off today. Sad. I mean, Gomps, they're going to be taking us to Sunset. And YFP, they've definitely had a few different looks. So I'm wondering what look they'll give us for our first map.
Oh gosh, Sunset. I mean, Deadlock. No, I'm kidding. Please give me a break for that, for just for today at least. But I like the Sunset pick. I feel like, especially with SAD kind of taking this one in, it is a map that they're pretty comfortable doing. They don't bring anything necessarily like out of the way, something crazy like, you know, a Neon or a Gecko or something like that. I mean, Gecko's pretty well put into the meta, I feel like, on Sunset as well. But they keep to like Origin. They keep to what they're comfortable with, you know, Cypher, Omen, Raze, Sky, Viper, and they work around that, which I really do like. I think SAD here with Dip kind of taking into that IGL role, and then again, you know, kind of incorporating their own style with these two new players. I'm just curious as to where this is going to take them and what they want to play and what they want to do here.
Yeah, and as Gompers was saying, just to piggyback on that as well, you know, SAD is a little bit comfortable here on Sunset, whereas on the other end for YFP, they went through 4 games on that map. They were like like a little bit on and off in terms of their results. They got dominated on them. They had closer games, closer losses, but also going through a lot of compositional changes. So I think at this point for SAT Esports, they're starting to feel that, you know, maybe their opponents haven't really found the groove of how they want to work and approach that map yet, and they have an opportunity to take advantage of that and start things off very strongly on a 1-0 in this series.
We'll have to see if maybe over on YFP's end they've cracked the case of the comp here that they've been struggling with so far, or if it'll be SAT Esports to start off on a high note. Agent Select ready, so I'll catch you two after sunset.
I'm excited, and excited I shall be. I'm not surprised by the Sova coming through from Dip. This was like the OG pick from Dip going into the collegiate space. They do play a very, very good Sova. So now, obviously, into Challengers, bringing that origin back into what SAT is. So how is the Sova going to work? I'm curious, but the Gecko, not surprising, will taking on that role previously, I believe, in the mid-season cup as well. So overall, just pretty much just going back to the basics for this team.
Yeah. Exactly. For YFP going into the midseason cup composition, even though it lost to TSM, they still have that groove. Remember, Will was just holding W and fragging out quite well on Gecko on that bind map. Now you have an opportunity to play this double flash tooth or support Penny going into the map. But I do love the point that you brought up here, Gompers, in terms of Dip playing the Sova. This is nothing unorthodox. Even he was probably one of the only ones that played a Sova on a map like Lotus, for example, and made that work somehow, you know, with Northwood. So for him to use that on a map like this, that's a pure counter to Thief overall with the setups that he could do and the lineups they could do across the sites. This could still be a very good like recon flash type of play that's going to be able to help you scan a lot around these retakes for the team of SAT Esports. So quite an interesting way to start off this series and to kick things off where you're not necessarily continuing where you left off, where you're coming out with unorthodox compositions, but you're also playing in very comfortable roles. And the other question, though, as we mentioned before, Alvin, that came in usually as a duelist, grinding that tier 3 scene, is now playing the Sentinel role. So Coburg is the one stepping away from the center role and playing more of a smoke while you're keeping Skarn as a duelist. So that type of compositional change or role changes overall, will they be comfortable with that? And that's how we're going to start things off and find out on their defensive side, as they're putting a lot of pressure on this B side to hold. But YFP, they're looking at default towards mid.
Gonna keep that. Oh, and already down on to take. No heals available on this team, so they're gonna have to live with that now. 50 on the A site completely cleared up, interestingly enough.
Yeah, right now it's just a camera set up on this B side. It's a trap play from the very beginning from SAT Esports to do a fault line paranoia on that end. And if nothing is happening towards this B site, they're okay to leave this site open for A for YFP to plant, and you'll just play the retake. And then you'll see again what we're talking about, this fault line flash retake with the recon dart where Darkus has a full kit. So this will soon happen now as SAT is already rotating over towards palm shot as YFP gets the plant.
Yeah, they still know now the grounds that aren't covered aren't covered by this team, though. The trip not kind of taken away from the side of YFP. So at this point, pretty easy clear from Skarn is going to try to work themselves up. But the paranoia taking place, Jake having to back themselves off. I mean, so far, so good. Not too much to worry about. Pistol not working out in favor, though, of SAT Esports. Already in seconds, everybody's down. So flawless round for YFP.
Yeah, right now, if you're looking at the setup that SAT had with the trip towards spawn that you mentioned, it was just to make sure that they don't see anybody from YFP pushing through. But YFP did the same thing. Thief actually left another trip on the attack side and realized there that, well, SAT Esports realized on that retake that they should have maybe cleared utility that was available coming out from that end. So that's a little bit of a tough break to look at how SAT Esports retook that site, especially now that you can't really get like an owl drone to help for the retake from the from the pawn shop side, because you use a little bit more util at the beginning, or armor or ghost or something like that, right? So you're trying to bank on a lot of like, hopefully the bodies will be able to trade perfectly to run through that smoke on shop. And unfortunately here for YFP, because you have 5 players set up here on the post plant, the fault line combination with everybody just going through the bloodbath just works out in the end. So that is Dunzo with a nice little pistol round that was won here by YFP. And you're already starting to see the buy here on the second round. Again, leveraging a lot of Penny to try to be the tip of the spear with this Vandal that he's buying in round 2.
Yeah, and already looking at the setup too that this team was trying to portray from the start, right? Mid-season coming in, you get to see Will allow Penny that space, give into, you know, what they want on the site. And it feels so exact, and they have had the time to refine this again and to see what they want to do. So I do feel like there's a lot more cohesion than, you know, the game against TSM, right? Coming into the SAT Esports one. And I know it's just the pistol round, but just winning out in seconds and really containing that space was pretty impressive.
Winning in seconds, winning it clean. You saw like the fault line pain shell that started things off when they had contact too. So that's one of the things that was a question mark looking into YFP. How much structure is coming into this, and how much teamwork is going to come through here as they have 2 or 3 weeks to practice since the MSC, and it looked really well cohesioned, at least for YFP on that post plan. Now they get to play an anti-eco against SAD. They realize the camera is very aggressive to start things off, so expecting to see potentially a stack towards that side. So they want to make sure here that they're going to do their due diligence, the fault line across to allow Penny to walk in again with the Vandal trying to farm some ult orbs on his side too. And they'll soon realize instead now that SAT Esports once again are looking to play the retake all the way out from market.
And not going to be easy with Bulldog watching the angle, already so many players. Yep, damage down. And the refrag potential clear from Jake. Just watching every single angle, every single sideline remaining. Yeah. And pretty much a round for YFP to just take away from this. But yeah, pretty impressive. I'd say for the next one too, keeping the Bulldog and now having a Vandal and a Phantom in hand is very, very ideal for this bonus.
Yeah, now you see the calls coming out as well. At the beginning, it was Penny to farm these orbs, but now that you're realizing that Will with this Ghost was running around and getting out a lot of kills and being 2 away from getting a Thrash in their bonus round, you can already start seeing a 4-1 setup from YFP to potentially take control of the B main, pushing those players back, getting that orb up in a plant to potentially get a Thrash on the pulse plant when you have so much good utility on the pulse plant to play the spam style outside of B main. That said, though, an early recon dart went out as well to try to break that trip, and Thief is not going to take that back. Just like, I think it was Benji Fishy that was having fun, like taking it back and putting it up or whatnot in the Shanghai Masters. But that's a trip gone. That's an opportunity for SAT to flank very quickly.
Take out the smoke, and that's good off Coburg. I'm surprised, like the confidence leading into that just off that cross hold from Alvin Boy. Definitely does work though. Already taken out 2, and Penny's gone. So huge lack of damage coming through. Still going to try to find this, especially now with the drone moving forward. But Physic running out of util. There's absolutely nothing you can play with here other than maybe the flank coming along from Thief. But
exactly.
Yeah, even then, time of the essence. Slow peek forward, not even watching the angle down behind, relying solely on Physic and what they can do, but keeping it intact and together. But nobody knows. Thief's still stuck along the backhand side. Defusal. Slowly moving forward. They know at least now that it's there, and they might just have it, but they don't. It's Dip that takes it away for that 1 and 2.
The IGL Dip dipping his toes in the challenger scene and then almost sticking it all the way until he had to react on time to get off the spike and win that 1v1. You needed to have some delays coming out from the other 2 players outside of B main. Will's position, unfortunately, I don't think was the best one, especially when you have a Thrash in your hands that can help you delay a little bit more to give value on that flank coming out from Thief. But him getting caught off guard, focused on the market, his full body is exposed on players on a drop down on that B site. Just allow here for SAT Esports to have more power of numbers to retake and defuse that, and eventually a 1v1. But they did some good damage here on their bonus for YFP. It's still a strong buy for SAT, who are pushing really quick towards A main, and they get the first blood for YFP.
Oh yeah, monster on the loose.
Oh, and this is nice though. Thrash kind of making way, doesn't actually gather a lot of information. It makes it 10 times harder for this team to push themselves onto site, taking a different pathway this time around, but everybody else on their way. And now with that being said, Jake, unfortunately not going to be able to see anything for the team, but already facing behind, like YFP's doing a great job at keeping the site, regardless of how much space they have. Not even 50% of it is theirs, but they managed to keep it, taking everybody out with them. So 3-1 for YFP and an impressive gameplay.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing here, bringing a breach. A breach is starting to get more and more prominent here, at least in our scene in the Americas, to see his value right now on a map like Sunset, where you saw that position from Darkest that was trying to play out in the open to launch towards elbow, whether sometimes you have a raise, you want a paint shell towards there. If you had a KO, you want a nade towards that. But at least the Aftershock is still very good to even push those players very quickly out of the position and catch them off guard. And unfortunately, the Aftershock actually caught Dip as well. That's going to put them on an eco. Very quickly did they move down, though.
They shut that down so fast. Jake was there, ready for it. 3K just to take away the lives of Sad. And I mean, the name pretty much speaks for itself. I feel the same way if something like that just happened. Now Darkest has to kind of recollect whatever was done. Honestly, just looking for picks at this point, which I feel is valid. Picking up a Vandal might be the way, and just not going to happen. Ace from Jake, and that is a great welcoming to the side of YFP.
100%. Looking very good here. Again, saying that we mentioned it, this is going to be the league right now with Jake could find his resurgence, and to see that heavy pressure coming out, trying to find that push towards the tiles, and Jake was just holding it towards the back. I find it ironic, though, even though that he got the ace, maybe they could have given somebody else the chase to get that kill, because Penny and Physic are getting very close to their ults, which could be very useful moving forward. But I mean, you go with the vibes, you know, the vibes continues here for YFP. JK scores the ace. They're celebrating before the barriers come up here, before they take control of B main. And it's fast now towards the market.
Oh, they still... Oh, Penny actually was close to it, but Skarn keeps himself alive. 5 health left, and it doesn't even matter. Might just be able to get the next one, but Physics shuts it down. 3 players, though, at 4. Actually, yeah, 3 now. Leading down to Sad, so Sad is going to have to find a way to get the retake down into B, but they're all funneling themselves in one area. The flank, especially now understanding what's going on. The mosh pit, the only thing left available, so they're not going to be able to find any information off that. Coburg losing the fight, but still 2 players left on site. They're trying. It's not going to be easy. Especially now with the flank coming along, they know it's there, but Thief making the distraction for the wide swing and still having the stun come through, but nobody peeks. Just attempting to keep this together. Alvin Boy left and right, not knowing where to look, and it still comes down to Physic to close things off.
Yeah, a little bit of a taste right now to the challenger scene for Alvin Boy, stuck in a 1 versus 2 in a perfect crossfire setup for YFP. Felt almost that you really wanted to try to at least take down Physic on somehow a breach lurk on tiles towards the mid stake. Because after that second kill, if they're able to get that frag onto Physic and then do that TP towards the back, because they did a great job here from Coburg from the shadows on B main to pull those 2 players out from YFP from B main to allow the other ones to scale in. But because you're so focused on 2 different angles here, you're dwindling down your numbers for the retake possibility. But there's some pings coming through. There might be Hunter's Fury here on some contacts if they want to use it with the lore buy that they currently have.
Yeah, and Skarn. Great opening. Wasn't expecting something like that. Now, especially with the Hunter Fury doing tons and tons of damage. Sad originally not having too good of a go at the beginning. Possibility to take out 2 players. So, I mean, having to find that, though.
Mm-hmm. Still pretty good to start, though. Like you said, they've done some good damage with the Hunter's Fury. They could leverage the Rolling Thunder since they're pushing forward and using Dip to be the first contact towards A. So it's forcing YFP to work around the map with no information here. And they want to play the contact. They don't want to let them know. They don't want to let SAT Esports know where they're currently headed. Wrapping all the way back here, all the way towards Boba, where Thief is going to try to sell that fake.
It's not being sold too heavily, though. I mean, still preoccupying the B side, but Thief doing a good job at keeping themselves... I mean... No, but still the only one being left seen on the A site. They definitely know what's going on, and that rotation starts to come through. The B site, contact not made, and they might just be able to have it. Oh. Push left up on Alvin. Yeah, there's the rotation now. Still going to be met up towards mid, though, especially with Thief still residing there as well.
Now this allows here for a Thief to even get the backstab, as you've mentioned, so... This is looking pretty good for YFP for the pulse plan in the end. If they could get something, or a first pick in a Rolling Thunder, but Thief is in such a great spot.
Okay. The wide swing peek from Sad definitely not working. I see the vision, but still, I mean, all they really need to do is Mosh Pit not really doing too much damage, but they don't even know. They leave Darkest just to take the defusal.
The hell?
What?
Okay, well, there was a question mark coming through here from both ends, because the first one being when Dip Asher recon darted towards this A main and there were 2 versus 1 against Thief. It only pinged Thief, so they already should have had an idea that there's no contest, there's no big hit that's going to happen towards the A site. So those players on B should have been ready here at some point that maybe they made it through enemy lines, especially when you've got full control towards B main so deeply. You got to have an idea that they went through mid to Boba. But then the second time, how does YFP just allow some person to just walk in and defuse?
Oh, Skarn is not playing around, especially when it comes to this, but they know. So now it just kind of forces YFP to have to move on to the A site. All the while, Sad not really trying to keep it. If anything, forcing them on the A so that they can try to get some sort of retake down, but Physic getting caught up on by Alvin Boy in a beautiful shot. Already moving forward, so they do lose that one initiator. Gonna have to rely heavily on Will for that info, or even just the hold. Showstopper coming back out. Penny managing to find one of their own, but still 3 players stuck on that extremity, and it's gonna be so hard to try to get themselves back in, especially if you're Sad with the up now. Slowly moving, Dip trying their best to take out Jake, but it still might be theirs. Everybody's jumping around. I feel like I'm watching Deathmatch, and now I don't know where this is gonna end. And at this point, still managing to find the headshot, but a 1v2. And Coburg, no paranoia. Nothing left, still wide swinging the angle, knowing they need to pick this fight. It was a valiant effort. Overall, though, YFP keeping strong.
Yeah, it ended up being a perfect scenario of trades here from both of these teams in the Pulse plant. Going to be very difficult for Sad Esports to really try to retake the site with just an operator at this point when Coburg was trying to get some sort of pick on mid or B at the beginning. But very, very well done for YFP to pivot through and have the fast tempo, knowing that they were being pressured behind by the Showstopper, to just, once again, get into a great spot in the Pulse plant. There were some good trips that were set up from Alvin. You saw this one coming through here as Physics walking across when he smoked out towards the elbow. That was perfect play to try to hold back any type of aggressive pushes towards that spawn. But right here, the paranoia on top of the Rolling Thunder and not getting value out of that, that's great patience coming out once again of YFP. Jake actually got a kill while he was fully stunned too. Again, showing that you need bodies behind the Rolling Thunder just to make sure they can guarantee the trade. If not, at this level, these type of players could just make it once again look like a cosmetic for any type of the breach utility.
I think overall, like, the game is pretty pleasing. You could see like how well the roster change is working. Like, Jake has been absolutely demolishing this team, especially with the ace that we previously saw now coming into the stun pick to keep YFP in the game. And I think even then, if Jake hadn't have gotten that, there would have been a completely different story.
Exactly. And also at the same time for YFP is just they're winning these rounds. Sad only got the second round for some random defuse that came out from Darkest. If not, these guys are not winning their duels here. YFP has the superior firepower, as you can tell right now, as everybody's trying to converge towards mid, but it's an anti-eco you're playing. Coburg's heavily damaged. This is not going to matter too much here for YFP losing these weapons as long as they get the rounds, because if you look at the bank, everybody's going to be super comfortable to buy within the next few rounds anyways.
And it's always the A site for YFP. It's like magnetic to them for some reason. I mean, I guess it really does make sense as to why Sad have not been able to keep this team back, and the consistent retakes just give them that possibility to feel comfortable. But even then, with the smoke going down, you'd think it would work out quite well for Will. Unfortunately, actually, my apologies. Yeah, for Will, but it does. YFP still keeping themselves intact with that 7-2, especially there on that anti-eco.
It's so funny that it's the breaches so far from both teams for me that are the lurk players and the ninja diffusers for both of these teams. Physics on a second lurk right now up top middle, and was basically the last point of contact and also the clutch factor. He had a Rolling Thunder played against a 1v1. It was almost guaranteed here for the percentage play that was going to favor YFP no matter what here, because he had such a lower buy for Sad Esports on that eco. But Dark is getting a ninja diffuse and trying to find some value this time around, but he's posted up on the A side. Instead, you mentioned how many times here YFP have been working towards this A site, and that type of conditioning pulled a lot of players from Sad Esports at the beginning, which now allows YFP to just explode towards B with the Rolling Thunder.
Oh, but it's Coburg doing the same thing they did previously to retrieve some sort of denial of that entry, but Penny shuts it down, which it works out in the end. I mean, even then, not really having the Cypher to watch on the right-hand side. So they know now that Alvin Boy stuck up top and everybody else trying to make way, making that movement in the mosh pit to clear up the angle. so they can see if they can fight this back, but I don't think it's going to work. Yeah, still leaving Thief all by their lonesome. And it's unfortunate. Now you have to try to make sure that if Yuzo doesn't come through, but Paint Shell and everybody else running you down just does not work.
Yeah, so once again, getting value off or an owl drone or a camera to be sure that you're able to win this round for SAT Esports. But I think this is the first time we're actually starting to see where there's a little bit of a mix-up here for YFP on the positioning on the post plant, because trying to cross behind a Thrash into Market, following behind it when Boba's not really smoked out, it gave easy kills for the players towards spawn. There was already 3 players there getting rid of the retake, and yeah, you saw some easy frags coming through. And that just dwindled down the numbers here of YFP. And that one ninja defuse and that type of mistake here that's capitalized by SAD is actually giving a chance here for SAD Esports to, you know, shake off the dust and come back into stage 2 and make this close for the last 2 rounds of the half. And they're looking pretty comfortable right now, trying to fight back towards the lane. Nice shot by Scarn.
And they're still putting pressure. Like, I like this. They know the A side is so comfortable for this team. And Scarn is just playing around with a classic at this point. But this was such a good counter. SAD knew what was going to happen down here in the A site. So they put everybody here to try to condition them and maybe make YFP feel comfortable. Hey, you know, you've had A every time. Why not come here again?
Exactly. And this time when they conditioned the B side, and every time they went towards B, they lost that side on the pulse plan, so they went back to what works here for YFP, trying to work back towards that A site. But you saw that Util coming out from Darkest, playing deep inside that A site. Fault line flashes. It looked like really Scarn was left alone on an island, but look at that Util right there. There was a half blind for Physic, but a full blind that came through there onto Will that allows Scarn to do so much damage there and allow YFP to finally stop the hemorrhaging on SAT Esports coming back here in this first half. And now we're going to see a final round coming through. Another attempt. Actually, looks like it got dropped to just get the Vandal after all here for Coburg. Unless they maybe purchased one and leave one behind. I mean, this is the last round. Why not gamble with 2? It looks like it's, there it is. It's finally purchased.
Back to me.
Just going to watch that towards mid.
Oh, Darkest does find info for Coburg to play off of. He's going to be patient, though. Oh, that does not work. Shooting the wrong thing. Unfortunately, not waiting patiently enough to take out Jake.
For 5.
Yeah. Oh, but they're still trying to do their best. Alvin Boy stuck all along the backhand side with everyone else. So much util for the retake. So at this point, if they want to play this, they can now. With info coming through, they can never have the sight when it comes to YFP. And they'll continue to fight, but they can't. Scarn, even then, coming along the backhand side with the showstopper to shut things down. And then you pretty much have a big comeback from SAT Esports.
Yeah, huge anchor play by Alvin looking at that last round. Because I said, because Coburg had line of sight looking down towards tiles and the tip of the gun. And I think that was Jake. Was showed itself, and instead of trying to just wait for the swing and maybe absorb the boom bot, he went for the shot on the boom bot, but at least some sort of league shot, I guess, instead at the same time. But it gave enough information here for SAT Esports just to get ready to anchor up. And Alvin, once again, I mean, he had a slow start, but that was some great impact frags and information that he gathered from that first skill that he's got for the team, and allows you this game to be fairly close towards the end. It really looked like YFP found their footing already with what they've been practicing through the mid-season cup until now, just to get ready to prove a quick 2-0. But SAD has something else to say, despite a newer roster coming into this one, under the helm of a new coach as well with Coach Joe. And for YFP, though, they're the ones that are trying to bring the action first. 3 players walking out with ghosts, taking control of mid, looking to play the retake on either sites. So they're looking for the fast rotate. There's the first contact.
Yeah, despite even looking for the early information, it's already the B site given away. So now, retake definitely being one of the things they're going to have to play for. But Jake not doing what Coburg likes to do. Just wide swing through the smoke. Even then, Paranoia comes down to it. But it doesn't work. YFP, they keep themselves in the game. And the possibility for another quick pistol round is there. They find it. But they need to keep hold of it. Even then, that 8-5 is looking good, but SAD, we've seen them come back.
Yeah, definitely seen them come back in the past, but that seems to have been a hefty fault line here that allowed so many body counts to go into favor of YFP. And once again, another scenario where they win pistol rounds, so they have the cushion to absorb a couple more of these rounds rather, and snowball a couple of these rounds. That made me hungry. A couple of these rounds, and YFP is looking pretty good right now to at least have that cushion on the defensive side. They have, again, control of the map as they wanted to be the ones aggressing first towards middle, and now they're forcing the hand of VCT Esports to use information and utility early here and potentially give tells into where they want to try to hit.
Okay, shut down. Like almost immediately. And I guess that's the hard part about sitting in an angle and watching with the judge alone. Yeah, just one taps across the board. YFP are pretty comfortable in the stance that they've been holding so far. For Alvin, just to find one is good enough at this point. Spike not even in their hands, so they have to fight for that as well. Seems like they will, though. 1 minute left and looking to peek out.
They're very slow for YFP on a rotate because of that kill towards spawn, so they don't know where Alvin is. So Alvin has a chance now to walk back, pick up a weapon, have a 1v1 against Will, especially when you just hurt the wingman close. So he has an opportunity to get an opening here.
I have retrieved the spike.
Okay, well, Alvin's not playing around. Even then, they do have the spike. They don't care about it.
Oh, he dodges it.
He got out of the way. 82 health left. And 2 headshots already put to the test. And even now, being able to put yourself in a position where all you need to do is keep the spike is grand, but they know somebody's peeking. They're ready and prepared for it. No paranoia available, but still left up to the smoke. The TP from Jake to keep themselves unknown is tremendous.
Wow, what good damage being done, though, on the eco for VCT Esports. It looked very good of how YFP had control once again of the double setup they had towards the elbow. Good utility being used by Will. I think the Windman came out to get some stuns with the thunderclap, while Penny came out with the judge to get a couple of kills, but then down to a 1 versus 3 with the lurk coming out from Alvin. We're starting to see here as an up-and-comer from a duelist role going into a center role. That's polar opposite in terms of roles and the way you're moving around the map and the way you're trying to find openings here. Instead of going straight into the fray of the action, your pathing's a little bit different, and it's finding great value out of that. So to me, it's a nice little dub now for VCT Esports to see the potential of what this team could become in the next couple of weeks.
Guessing. Quick approach, unfortunately friendly fire. Does not leave this being any easier. But still then, I think YFP very well settled here. They're not playing the retake game like Sadlight I enjoyed doing previously. Still having so much util to get themselves onto the site.
They won the round and are so broke still. The best weapon that they have is a Vandal in the hands of Penny and a Bulldog to help, and with the smoke disappearing, that's Site 4, sad.
They're still taking it back. Even then, now having the ultimate to see where everybody else is going to be is going to serve them perfectly well. And for YFP, haven't necessarily picked anything up. Looking to try for Physic especially, but you know, with Will backing off, only having a Sheriff and them not peeking together was quite questionable.
Now at least all of these players are quite far away in terms of the ult, so I'm okay if Will wants to try to contest and fight this, because he's going to get an ult no matter what into the next round if he dies. But if he dies to Spike, they're going to have to do a little bit more. There you go. Confirms that. It's traded out. But a nice little round by VCT Esports once again. A crispy shot from Alvin. Getting a lot of info off the hat. Great util being utilized and understanding the scenario and what VCT needs to do to come back in this game.
I think for them, it was a game of chance. Alvin, so far, I'm giving them kudos because the shots that they were hitting with the Sheriff, were honestly godly. And I don't know what they're on today, but they're on. They have their A game for sure. I'd say I don't even think that VCT was expecting such a tough game today, though. I think it kind of did take them by surprise. There is some tension in the air on both sides, I'd feel.
Yeah, if anything, I'm looking at chat and it's like, oh, well, this is just normal Alvin stuff. So for us, it's like, oh, maybe he's just on a different level today, but it seems to be something consistent for Alvin Boy, which is potentially why and how he was scouted out here by VCT Esports and brought in, and maybe it's going through those Mr. Funhaver invitationals and seeing right now some of those being casted. Now you have an opportunity to scout some players and bring them into challengers. Now you have, you know, fresh firepower coming into SAT Esports with Dip and Alvin Boy, fresh perspective in terms of IGLing on top of that, which Coach Joe as a coach. And this is looking pretty good, though. They're adapting very quickly into this game against YFP. Now they're YFP's end. They were a little bit cut off here on a very low bonus round, so you couldn't get too much value out of that. An opportunity here for SAT Esports to break the bank if they should win this round against YFP, and it starts off with a heavy pressure towards this B side of a 3-1-1 setup, as you can see here from SAT Esports, focusing on this B main. They do still have some sort of a trap play, as you can see here from YFP. It's going to be a very long fault line that's going to come out towards the market. Where's that swing? Denied.
Oh. Okay, it's easy for Dip. They've gotten there too, and they get that rotation out of there. I mean, I'm pretty sure they also know that the Cypher's just still going to be resigning in A, but easier fight to win than 2v4. I mean, despite having the player advantage there.
Mm-hmm. Now they have the whole map to work with. It doesn't really matter if there's a trip set up here from Thief. They should have enough bodies to be able to trade it out no matter what, especially with the camera being so passive. But Thief is just trying to stay alive behind this cage. Well, now when he hears the Owl drone, he knows this hit's going to be coming towards the A side. He needs to call for support here. They have a Thrash available too, but Thief hasn't come up huge with a 1-2 kill. It's being cleared though. Oh, that was so close.
Oh, and even then, the timing was absolutely perfect. Thief still keeps themselves on the site. Luckily enough, playing with their util. So that does open things up quite a bit for YFP. I mean, they have the Thrash to use in this moment. So if anything, yeah, Will's going to be that huge divide as to how this team's going to win. But of course, two players already creating that opening, and Will a bit too late to any sort of refrag potential. Just trying to aid in using the wingman to get themselves whatever they want. But that first one coming down to it, and it might just work. The left-hand side, two players there. So maybe not Will going down, but Sad a point up.
I love it how Alvin actually set a cage exactly where Thief had his 2K to just block vision here, deny visibility for Will to try to get at least a twofer, because he had a perfect mosh in that 1 versus 2 to maybe even capitalize on that 2K. But look at these shots coming out from Dip. This was basically a blind play, because they had no cameras playing towards this B site here for YFP. It was set up towards A, so they just went for a timing fault line, double swing out, and unfortunately, they were still looking towards the right side of the staircase where Dip just literally tucked inside in a deep corner. It's already being pinged down, as you can see, towards the radar, to be careful for that in the future.
My ult's ready.
Oh, the cam. It gave itself away. It didn't necessarily find someone, but if it did, I think Thief could have run away with that. Now, kind of plan just going completely haywire. Is going to try to stop the plant from coming down, and does a good job at doing so. They're stalling so much, but there's no movement. It's so silent for YFP. Now finally being able to put something through, but the Hunter's Fury trying to make its way, and it's not going to find much. Maybe the second.
So many pings.
They're on Will, yeah. It's difficult, but they still managed to keep themselves. I sat down on the site. Flawless round for Sad, just watching the outskirts. So the retake on A seems to be a problem for both sides.
Yeah, at least for YFP, it had much lower buy going through that. They did a great job stalling as much as he could. You talked about it, where it took so much time here for Sat to plant, because they had the aftershock, a fault line. You're getting players outside of their position so that everybody could actually get set up here for an actual, fault line that came later on the exec, but they had other util to prevent the plant. But once they had that fault line in Paranoia and try to flood in, they had to play against here SAT Esports with 2 ults on the post plant, and that's not much you could do behind that, but at least they've wasted those out.
Okay, Scar, this is good for them. And they've managed to pull it through. It's okay. At the end of the day, both raises are gone, so equal loss, but a little bit more difficult for the attacking side. Is going to have to find a way to push themselves in, but Will now no escape and does have to fight this. Contact not there, though. And everybody has cleared up the A site. If they don't move now, they might just lose it, especially now with Thief slowly working themselves up.
Yeah, and it looked like they were trying to do they saw the camera, then they flashed for a double swing, but seems like SAT Esports was ready for that. In a great position now to tie up this game until Thief has something else to say, though.
We've managed to eliminate one. So now with Paranoia making its way, it's always the timing coming down to YFP. They just They prep for something. Jake wanting to push through with a paranoia, but and Thief looking forward for a shot.
Enemy remaining.
Now it's left up to them, the 1v1. And a flash readily available from Darkest. 37 seconds left, so if they want to push this towards the other side, it has to happen now. They're not going to run. Noise not being made. They've TP'd right into the crosshair of Darkest.
Jake was never expecting that.
Trust me.
Thought that the flash was to try to just delay a little bit more, and he tries to get a plant, and after noticing that there's no plant at all, thinking that Darkest is going to rotate all the way over towards the A site. And instead, Darkest just wrapped around towards the gate and tried to make sure that he tried to isolate and win that 1v1. And just like that, SAD Esports tying up the game 9-9, breaking the economy of YFP, continuously hitting this A side just like YFP did against them. They said, hey, if you could do it, we could do it again. We could do it as well, and we could do it better. And they're going to be fairly quick once again, trying to work back towards the elbow. A recon dart looks back towards the elbow. It's clear. It doesn't even get shot. They could focus here now on the left side.
Oh, but the approach is so silent. They've already made noise. Now, especially with the spawning coming through, and the initiators putting every single piece of util that they can outside of the A site. That's up to Skarn to get the flank, and it works out perfectly. Still stuck kind of behind two there. And it doesn't matter. YFP, they've really pulled through when it comes to the defense. Unfortunately, though, it seems like Coburg's still stuck on that 2K and does manage to make things work. So, Thief alone again. But is going to try their best.
That's why it's so difficult to play against a breach here with that aftershock in the corner. They got to find different spots to play if they want to anchor these sites. I love this Phantom, by the way. It was in my night market, instantly copped it.
Oh, gosh. The Roblox gun. I like this one, too. That's a good pickup, though. Oh, JK. Thief cannot hit the shot, but that's all for SAD to take away. Yeah, but it's crazy how the comeback just happened so fast. It felt like SAD was just teasing YFP in the beginning, I'll be honest.
Oh, 100%. Again, just trying to find a groove. First official game now with this roster, trying to figure it out as well, and it seems to be working out, finding more comfort towards the attack side for SAD Esports too. Again, you're seeing that it's well drilled how they're executing towards these sites. There's not really any gap that's left unattended when they're hitting these sites, and they're finding perfect timings too. And that's why I also like this breach they're currently using. Sometimes you can find similar values with paint shells being thrown at the generator or mollies, but you got to wait for the arc to come down. The aftershock makes it immediate here and allows for you to work this and be a little bit more synchronized for a faster pop here towards the A side split. Now as they're walking up here for information and realizing nothing there's not going to be a fault line coming in from the link. One more time, YFP positioned to play the retake, a more passive play, and hopefully spamming from the spawn with the trips.
Camera taken out.
Oh, this is so nice, though. The cam managed to catch the drone, so SAD may not realize it, but YFP very well aware of what this team is trying to do, especially because they have slightly cleared out holes here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They knew they shocked it out. Got some pings out as well.
Could wait for it. 28 seconds until they kind of pull through with the util. It's slightly unnecessary, to be honest, but SAD they managed to pull things back. Coburg finds a couple shots down in the outskirts and is still going to be stunned. Flash, this guy's going through World War II, and he's still alive. I don't know how he's managing to do it. Even then, everybody else, YFP slowly making way, and Penny is destroying. It's like I'm looking at a drive-by. I don't know how to feel.
A nice little signature second set right into your face, and then you're going to meet the barrel of the gun right between the eyes and get denied. A nice, beautiful... I mean, I was going to say it was a nice, beautiful retake, but not really towards the end. I don't know how the hell Coburg was in towards the spawn and still managed to get 3 kills while being stunned, while being blinded, while just dodging everything, TPing away on time, and almost getting the last 2 kills playing around the smokes. But thankfully here, you have, once again, an opportunity of numbers for YFP to retake the site in the end.
This goes here.
And you're making that work. It was labored. It doesn't allow for you to get the bankroll rolling too much, while on the other end, you have full shields for SAD Esports. The only thing now is trying to see if you want to push a little bit more aggressively to try to control an orb for physic for a retake play with a rolling thunder, but they have to move quickly because SAT Esports are already committed to try to hit towards this B site.
All they need is one smoke to just take away from the plan. Jake might be the only issue here, but even then, now Cobra's looking for TP up along the back, and they're prepared, waiting for that 30-second mark so that they can just explode onto the site. But even then, I mean, slightly creating a distraction over towards A.
And that's it. The TP towards the Boba, and then you see now an activation from Alvin Boy towards the elbow. He's trying to make a play on that side. They still have enough time to rotate back towards A if he's able to get some sort of opener, especially after they're breaking this cam. It's been up every single time. Now it's being red. You see this pivot slowly coming out from YFP, and they might be able to just flood back within the A site or just pivot into a B main. This is a double fake coming through. Aldron's coming out towards B main. It gets shot out, and now you're weak side A.
Oh, this is perfect. There's no smoke settled onto the A site. So at this point, they have a free opening. Contact's going to be made at any point in time. Just Thief waiting around the back. And they should read into it. This is a spot that they've been hiding at before, but they don't. They don't clear the angle, and it just leads to their demise. YFP, they kept this 10-10, this back and forth for so long. Now they might just be able to break the mold. There, the spike going down, and it's Physic to keep that round win.
Oh, that was, I think, one of the first mistakes that I've seen coming out here from SAT Esports on the attack. I was just praising every single time whenever they're trying to execute towards the A site. The aftershock is so prominent right now, so big for the execution of SAT to hit towards that site. And I almost feel like at that point, yes, Alvin was able to lurk through, break the camera, and avoid the fault line. But when you're ready to pop inside that site, you have to make sure that you're still using more utility to make sure that the site is clear. Because Alvin never made it in. He never cleared back towards that Jenny. So if the aftershock was used there, that would have probably flushed out that player. And that was one piece of util, one piece of information that was missed that ended up being detrimental for SAT Esports to even get the spike down for the extra 300 for the team. So that's going to force out the timeout right away, because already when you're seeing such a good comeback from SAT Esports in the second half, YFP capitalized on that. Now they have the momentum on their side. They have the economy on their side too. And they have an opportunity now to close it out. And that was a huge single round that was needed there for SAT Esports. Everything worked perfectly from A to Z until, unfortunately, that final moment. I guess it's A to Y and then Z kind of fumbled.
They are... I'm surprised. Honestly, it's intriguing because Thief has been doing a tremendous job at shutting down, like, the very quiet takes from SAT, right? But whether that be like catching the drone with the cam or, you know, kind of just keeping themselves settled onto site and being patient with waiting on their trips, playing on that util. So, I mean, definitely one of the bigger reasons as to why it's been hard for SAT to figure out the site they want to move forward in. And they feel like they need to compensate for that. Yeah. And especially when you lost Dip in the very beginning, right? He's already trying to sell a fake towards the B side. So you have to make sure now that you don't have to scan agent to allow for you to clear these corners, clear these spots. You have to do your own due diligence to make sure that those corners are cleared. And that's probably going to be the talk right now that Coach Joe just had with the team, to make sure that you dot the I's, cross the T's, and try to explode now with the showstopper from the elbow. Something very common right now from showstoppers that get activated. They try to take value out of that towards the elbow. And for YFP, give that up, play the retake with the Rolling Thunder after. Oh, and Jake had a nice angle. Actually, still might manage to keep it, but he can... When you're not even fully cleared yet, it is so interesting. And the rotation's still coming along. They have the paranoia set down, not to mention the Rolling Thunder. Everything was there. But now kind of just given another point on the board for SAT. Yeah. The first one was unlucky. I think Penny just got killed through smoke at the shops. But for Jake, he was just trying to at least get one because he has the opportunity with the verticality on top of the boxes to try to get one. But unfortunately just lost his duel from the one swinging out against him. And that's instantly going to prevent you from retaking the site, because they never really needed to use the showstopper for SAT Esports to enter towards the A site. They just walked in, played contact, won the duels, and that's it. And now chasing down the last players, not allowing them to try to keep their weapons. Dip has all the info. Oh, gosh. And they somehow still, like, kind of devour Sad at the same time. It's so many ultimates left on the board. Honestly, one load up from Will, too. So, YFP, if they didn't win the last round, they can win this one for sure.
Yeah, it ended up not being too good for Sad Esports to lose so many weapons there in chasing the last final kills, but it kind of evens up the economy of both of these teams right now, where the bonus actually gives more favor for YFP should they lose the round, or the money is going to be good for Sad should they win the round, right? So we were talking about an important swing round 2 rounds ago, but this one is definitely the one that's coming up, which is why Gogi now is calling a timeout for YFP for the last one of this map. Potential to see this go into overtime once again, and I'm loving this so far here, Goppers, because starting stage 2, we've already had so many games go to distance, and now another one going potentially to the distance, no matter what here. I mean, we are going to play 24 rounds of regulation guaranteed, but if you're looking now during this timeout with this frag discrepancy, you're definitely seeing here. I mean, Thief has been a silent killer. I don't really recall me calling his name out too much throughout this whole game, because it's just how the executions are so good for both of these teams, but Thief seems to be just a silent killer so far for YFP. They need him now to anchor a little bit more, getting value out of these hits that Sad continuously keep bringing here towards this A site.
Mm-hmm.
Already getting
mind games.
Yeah, they're pretty much getting prepared for an aggro push out to A. I feel for YFP, though. I mean, could be the possibility. Actually, no, just waiting for information more so. One way still placed. Now Skarn looking to... Yeah, already getting caught, actually, by Thief there.
And that's great info, because that's Showstopper at the ready for Skarn, and potentially with them, with that timeout, with the read, is like, hey, maybe they're going to try to pivot towards this B side. So just get a camera aggressive, try to get that ping, try to flush the players of Sad Esports towards this A site where they have a bunch of ultimates to fight and delay just around the corner should they start hearing some util. But instead, Sad is looking to do more of a passive split towards this B site.
Might just be able to, find themselves the B site. I think biggest issue now is kind of what is mid looking like, because there isn't much importance with Coburg right now, other than the fact that once that dissipates, he might just be able to find space.
Unfortunately, the camera had an opportunity to refresh and look back up. That's a huge kill, though, by Penny. That's the lurk down, now committed Sad Esports towards this B site.
Yeah, Showstopper, though. Left up to Skarn, does get shut down. YFP, they didn't even need to expend any ultimates, really. They kept themselves for that match point, and now the possibilities are endless for what they can do.
100%. This, again, we talked about a broken economy at some point here for the last round, either or, depending on what side it goes towards to, depending who wins. But getting that camera broken instantly at the beginning of the round and waiting so long to allow a second camera to get refreshed there by Thief, to get a second wave of information from deep inside the site towards B main, allowed Thief to get into a perfect position to get these 2 kills. And you mentioned it, none of these players outside of the Showstopper from Skarn was used, and all of that was denied by Thief in his great positioning, and now putting YFP on map point. And with 5 ults available on their side, they have everything in their favor. Money, guns, ults to close out this first map on Sad Esports map pick.
Oh, the trip just makes it 10 times harder. Managing to avoid that. Tons of noise made, and I'm curious if that catches the attention of YFP.
It's just trying to pivot some players away, but you look how, once again, this aggressive positioning you have. This is a contact off Penny, so they could fault line right after, and Showstopper, and there it comes. They scatter away. Sad has to reset now. Looks like it's looking to pivot back towards the B site.
Feels like I'm watching a game of cat and mouse too. Just like a lot of poke coming through from Sad. Now actually putting the ultimates into the game. So keeping some of their own though. Hunter Fury taking out Jake. The TP saving themselves, but even then still getting caught out by the Rolling Thunder. And Skarn just can't seem to catch a break. Flash after flash, but still finding another. And it's Sad that might be able to keep
last player standing.
maybe that 11 to 12. Beautiful shot from Dip. that's going to leave them with a Vandal to pick up with 14 seconds left, and the spike has not been planted. If Penny
10
can
seconds
try,
left.
I mean, for anything.
Spike
Doesn't seem
planted.
like they will. Just looking for the 1v1, but these players are going to keep together. Dip, now having the recon dart, is going to expend that. But even then, slowly peeking forward, the flash set up from Darkest. And all they need to do is wide swing Penny at this point. Turning. Keeping the tide, but it's Darkest that shuts it down. And again, cohesion there from YFP. The ultimate's expended, but I guess Sad we're just better with the aim.
Yeah, definitely better with the aim in a position towards the end. One rolling thunder to gain space. SAT Esports played pretty much to just try to win at this point. And they used a lot of these ults to try to push their opponents back. But it just came down to once they tried to retake the site, Skarner's already pushed all the way up there. And yeah, that didn't really help out. Really YFP to close out the map. And sorry, it was YFP on the defensive side with all that util. But what a nicely job well done here to push us into overtime at this point. Great start for both of these teams. And I think we're in for a long night here, Gompers.
Every time it's an OT, it never ends well. That's all I'm going to say. We're here for another hour. But you know what? If they have the resolve for that, then I give them kudos because they are definitely playing as hard as they can be for both sides on SAT and YFP.
Looks like they're not going to try to go slow. Just a fast, simple pop towards this B site. A plant will come down for the wingman to take aggressive position, maybe to try to flash towards Bobo and fight, or looks like it's going to be the latter, setting up a crossfire to not allow the retake to happen.
Here.
Not even applying any pressure. They're just waiting for this team to make the peak, but Sad, they don't need to. And just looking for information for the first couple seconds. Jake has managed to find another, and it's great off Penny to give them some leeway there. Especially with the refrag potential. The spray downs coming through from Alvin Boy, not able to find something on the outskirts, but still, the spike there. They don't have a lot of time to take this one away,
available.
and even then the cam is there as well. And it doesn't matter. Coburg looking for the shots. They know the 2v2 not ethical. But even then, Jiggle Peek from Whale gives them that 13-12 down in the OT, so it's just one more, and they could run away with the series. I mean, not the series.
A clean round of Valorant so far from both of these teams, though, from the post-plant perspective. Great positioning to set up crossfire, to set up trades for the attack side. But look at the flood, the number of bodies that came through just to make sure that you had perfect trades towards the back of the site. Once that is done, checkmark. Paranoid towards the front, blinds more players, and you go down to a 2 versus 2. The only small mistake that ended up being costly there for SAT Esports is that smoke that was available for Coburg that just popped up, but decided not to smoke the spike diffuser before engaging into B main. And it made it so difficult for them to try to clutch, for Allen Boy to try to win that 1v1 towards the end. So a beautiful win by Will. And now YFP back at that point, and they're trying to do the same thing. A pop towards the B site, a late lurk coming out from Alvin Boy into tiles. But a high-low setup here from YFP. A 1-for-1.
Cover going out.
Not wanting to embarrass themselves here. So IFP, they take a step back. 2 flashes off Physic. If they don't play with this, I don't know what's going on. Somehow Jake also surprisingly gets a shot on their own. Down
Still
inside
have
of Market.
drone.
Yeah. They could do everything here, to be completely honest. Will, so much utility to use in this moment just to fight this one back, and now able to find more.
Beautiful.
They feel the need to push this, and it might just be GG, game over. As YFP, they've proven that OT does not mean that you're going for an hour. That round 26 end feels very, very good, and they're not wasting any time.
Yeah, not wasting any time to run to the bathroom. As you can see, Jake and Will are stepping away, but a great first map overall, though, for YFP. Yes, it took a while for them to close out that map, but to still be able to close that map on SAT Esports' map pick. Again, we talked about it. It was a map here at this point where SAT Esports felt that there was a little bit of discomfort into YFP on how they played and approached the map of Sunset. But it looked very good towards the end, and there's still maybe some gaps, but there was some gaps from both of these teams, and it's great here that YFP was able to take advantage of that final mistake to close out the series, or close out the first map, sorry.
Yeah, but it's only the first map. We got a lot more to come, so don't go anywhere. We're going to be back with more VALORANT NA Challengers.
Okay, so we just call this vents. I think it is kind of boring. We'll just call it AC.
I just call this ropes, but everybody calls it vents, right? It's just vents.
I mean, there's a lot of lights in there. Just call it lights.
We all call this ropes. Honestly, I feel like you could just call this a connector, just a con.
There's literally lights, there's ropes, and then there's like mechanical parts on the floor. What am I supposed to come up with here?
I would just call this short B if we had to change it, but we call it Suka on my team. Short B, long B.
You already have rugs on the map. I don't know what I would rename this to. I have no idea. I would just rename this rugs and the other short A.
This is hookah on bind. I would call this, I'll just call this lounge.
We could rename this to like, I don't know, I see a lot of pillows, so call it like pillow.
I don't know. There's a lot of rugs down on the floor, a lot of like pillows and stuff like that. We could change it to like nap time or something. Maybe you could like nap on the rugs with the pillows or something. I don't know.
Oh, the pit on Lotus. We'll just make it mud. I like mud.
I don't know, maybe like secret.
You can slide down it to like slide.
Oh, drop. So we all call it drop. Let's call it moss. I see some moss laying around. It's a weird call, but moss or vine.
Drop on Lotus on A side. I think we could change it to probably just change it to slope. Not that creative, but there's a slope in there. It's short, it's sweet, it's fine. It's good enough.
I think market is like a great one. We'll just call it ticket though. Actually, we'll call it pickles. It says pickles on the wall right there.
I'm blanking so hard on what we call it right now. This is market. I'll just rename it to pho because I like pho.
You could call it pho, pickles, you know, anything. I would just call it pickles.
Actually, I completely left to me what we call this. Market. Okay, we call it market. Let's see. Let's call it blue. Blue because the blue thing.
We could just call it restaurant. Rest for short. There's like 4 restaurants around the area.